Welcome, everyone. Today, we're unpacking a really fascinating source text that details the philosophy, the practice, and honestly, the profound wisdom behind Indic counseling. We're going to take a deep dive into what is known as the eternal state of mind. If you've ever felt like modern approaches to stress or anxiety just kind of scratch the surface, well, the ancient structured methodologies we're looking at in this explainer are going to offer a completely fresh perspective. So let's jump right in. The source text actually kicks things off with this brilliant, instantly relatable visual metaphor. Just imagine a client walking into a room really needing some help. The text suggests that in that very moment, their mind is exactly like a glass of dirty water that has just been violently shaken up. It's this chaotic storm of swirling thoughts, confusion, anxiety. The water is totally opaque, right? You literally can't see through it. And this perfectly symbolizes the state of a mind clouded by distress. Now, the key here is that the problem isn't that the water itself is bad. Not at all. It's just that the dirt, which represents our external stressors and fears, is currently caught in this relentless, swirling vortex. All right, section gone, the storm of thoughts. Let's look at how we're framing this mental health challenge. So when you're presented with this swirling glass of dirty water, what exactly are you supposed to do? The source explicitly contrasts two very different approaches here. The first approach, which is super common in Western psychology, is compared to trying to repair a broken machine. It's very active, it's interventionist, it's like reaching your hand into that swirling glass to manually pull out the dirt particles one by one. But on the flip side, the Indic counseling approach is radically different. Instead of fighting all that turbulence, you just place the glass on a table, and you let it be. By simply allowing the water to settle naturally, the dirt gently falls to the bottom all on its own, and the water becomes perfectly clear again. It's this passive, patient, and deeply trusting approach to the mind's own natural healing mechanics. Moving on to section 2. What exactly is Indic counseling? Let's dive into the core philosophy. Let's go a bit deeper into the text to understand why simply letting the water settle is considered so incredibly effective. According to our source material, Indic counseling isn't just your standard 45-minute clinical therapy session that happens once a week. No, it is fundamentally a lifestyle. We're talking about a system of mental wellness that is rooted in some of the most profound ancient texts in human history. It draws its core understanding of human nature directly from the Upanishads, it takes its structural guidance straight from the Bhagavad Gita, and it utilizes the highly systematic frameworks of the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. Basically, the source argues that these texts already hold the time-tested keys to calming a turbulent mind. And that brings us to an absolutely crucial point in the text, this specific term, Satchidananda. It translates roughly to pure consciousness or pure bliss. Now, this is a massive paradigm shift. In Indic counseling, the client is never, ever viewed as sick or broken. There's no disease that needs to be cured. Instead, the counselor's entire role is just to awaken this Satchidananda, this inherent, perfectly healthy state of pure consciousness that already exists within the person. Think back to that glass of water. Just like the clear water was always there beneath the swirling dirt, the healthy mind is already present. It's just waiting for the turbulence to subside so the solution can reveal itself. Okay, section 3, the lamp metaphor. We're going to look at a very practical demonstration. To really drive this philosophy home, the source provides this highly visual, practical demonstration that's used in actual counseling sessions. Picture a traditional, unlit clay lamp, a diya. The text maps this out so perfectly. The clay lamp itself, that represents the physical human body. The cotton wick resting inside of it, that is the human mind. The oil fueling it represents our constant swirling thoughts. And the darkness surrounding this unlit lamp represents the crippling fear of external situations. So when a client is totally overwhelmed, they're simply an unlit lamp sitting in the dark, consumed by the fear of what's outside of them. So the big question is, how do we actually light the lamp? Well, the source explains that the very first practical step involves two intertwined concepts, pranayama and sakshipav. Pranayama is the physical practice of deep, regulated breathing, to steady the body and those swirling thoughts. But the mental goal is sakshipav, which translates to witness consciousness. The entire goal here is to cultivate the ability to step back and look at your own problems as a totally neutral witness. You stop being the swirling water, and you become the person simply watching the glass. You literally separate yourself from the panic. The text describes this as the major turning point in the session, the physical act of the client striking a match and actually lighting that clay lamp. And this physical action is highly symbolic. Lighting the lamp represents the sudden awakening of inner intellect and clarity, what's often called vivek, or wisdom. By becoming a witness through sakshi bhav, the individual stops holding the problem entirely inside themselves. Instead, they illuminate it. They see it clearly for exactly what it is. And that darkness, that external fear, is immediately pushed back by their own internal light. And that brings us to Section 4, Mind Transcendence. This is the ultimate goal. As we reach the final concepts of the Source's philosophy, we have to look at where this entire process is actually leading. The text asserts that the ultimate objective of this counseling method is a really profound inner journey. Step 1 is actively moving away from the ego. That part of us that feels easily attacked, overwhelmed, and overly attached to all the swirling dirt in the water. Then, step 2 is journeying toward the true self, or the soul. This is a state of absolute stability. Think of it this way. The ego reacts to the storm, but the true self knows it is the sky behind the storm. The Source wraps up with this incredibly powerful distinction. Modern Western approaches, they often teach mind management. And, management implies ongoing work, right? It's keeping the plate spinning, constantly fighting the anxiety, continuously adjusting the machine. But the traditional Indian approach, it teaches mind transcendence. It is not about fighting the mind or managing the chaos. It's about rising entirely above it. It's about letting the water settle and realizing you don't actually have to be a slave to the turbulence at all. The core text anchors this whole philosophy in a profoundly meditative, really empowering quote, Tvam Asi, you are that. The ultimate realization in Indic counseling is that the counselor doesn't heal you. The techniques don't magically fix you. You yourself are the power that can put an end to your troubles. You are the pure consciousness, the Satchidananda. You are the light of the lamp. Literally everything you need to clear the water is already right there inside of you. Which leaves us with this final thought for you to take away today. Look, we all have that glass of dirty, swirling water in our lives. We all have moments where the lamp feels completely unlit. So, how can you apply this ancient yet incredibly scientific perspective of mind transcendence to defeat the modern stress you face every single day? The next time you feel that panic rising, will you try to frantically repair the machine, or will you take a breath, find your witness consciousness, and just let the water settle? Thank you so much for joining me in this explainer. Until next time, stay curious and stay focused.